In this video, I'm going to discuss pistol prep for American Standard Division at Woodland Brutality 2025. American Standard Division requires the use of an iron sight-equipped pistol with no porting or compensation. I intend to use my Gen 5 Glock 34 for this division. For many years, I used a red fiber optic front sight on iron sight pistols, and I didn't have any problems doing so. In fact, I preferred it. But recently, my astigmatism appears to have gotten worse, and I got a new eyeglass prescription following some difficulties using red fiber optic front sights on my iron sight pistols. So even with the updated prescription, I came to the conclusion that if I want to shoot iron sights, I need to use a solid black front sight to avoid the front sight flaring out and appearing larger than it actually is. Tritium front sights, including the F8 front sights from XS that I use on my carry gun, still work for me just fine. But the red fiber optic front sights have become basically unusable for me for match-sized targets. They just flare out too big in the sun, and that doesn't work when you're shooting at smaller targets. So this match footage is one of the events where I came to the conclusion that I needed to make a change. When we get over to the spinner and I actually have to rotate it, my hit ratio is not what I would expect my capabilities to be up to. And a lot of it is because I am not tracking the front sight properly, and it's flaring out and covering the whole target. Another thing I noticed is that my point of impact is not where I want it to be relative to the distance. So following this match, I swapped out the iron sights for some Dawson Precision ones, doing the math on their website, picking the right height front sight to have a slight 6 o'clock hold at 25 yards. I do like to see a little bit of the target above my front post. And once I swapped to those, my problems with making hits with the iron sights were eliminated. This clip here is my first match using the solid black front post, and my hit ratio is definitely improved versus the previous match using the red fiber optic front. That was a 2 par time stage where from the first position you had X number of seconds to knock down as many plates as possible. Then the shooter had to come over to this array and knock down all 12 plates on the plate rack. Final local match in limited division before heading to Woodland for American Standard. This one had a lot of tiny poppers that we had to hit. When engaging targets like this, I like to just find a sweet spot to engage as many targets as possible from, because engaging targets that small on the move with irons is relatively difficult. Out of all the handguns I've used, the Glock 34 is the one that I have the most rounds on. And even though I swap around between using different handguns, going back to the Glock 34 always feels the most natural for me as a result. Even though the Glock 34 Gen 5 has an ambi slide release, I do still rack the front of the slide because this works between all the different handguns I use. Not all the handguns I use have ambidextrous slide releases. I did almost forget to engage that last target, but reloading and making it happen is worth it when it's plus 15 seconds. This Texas Star is set up so you have to engage it in a sequence that isn't ideal, getting the star moving. And I'm trying to anticipate where the plates are going to stop in a natural pause to make the hit, and it looks like I'm overestimating them shooting over the top until I fall into the rhythm at the end. Definitely feel like I'm more easily able to get the hits on these small auto poppers here with the new solid black front post. More auto poppers to shoot down, and then I have a plate rack here at about 25 yards. With the front sight replaced and a couple local matches with successful results, I feel confident in taking my Glock 34 to Woodland Brutality for American Standard Division. If you like this kind of in-depth action competition shooting analysis, please come back for more in the future. And always remember, the Second Amendment is for everyone.